Hello and welcome everyone back to the Dumbass class with me, Dyslexic Gamer, as we carry on our tabletop RPG night with Warhammer Fantasy. Warhammer Fantasy, Mordheim, City of the Damned, Season 2. Now, you may notice we are down a few characters. The chaff has been. Hopefully, we'll get our other players back. If not, we will continue with a smaller party. Now, in the last episode, we had prepared. The team had taken a few days off just to recover, to do work on some magical work, some more accounting style work for one of the team members. We wake the team up on, I believe it is the 20th of Sigmarzit, or whatever the Warhammer Fantasy word is for, I'm guessing September? I don't know.
It's a month.
Yeah. You can hear commotion downstairs as you awake. The smells of a decent cooked meal are coming up, and there is a decent amount of commotion going on outside as well. As the two of you head downstairs, you would see that the dwarves are sat around and talking with Peter, your medic. As you walk past, you can overhear that Peter's telling them that Azurif isn't contagious. He just appears to have caught something, the same thing that Gabrielle has, essentially. An illness from Mordheim that is draining them.
We told them not to go tripping balls on the magical mushrooms, but did they listen to us? No, they did not.
Sadly not. As you go down, they greet you warmly, and Peter actually turns to Lysiara. Miss Lysiara, there's someone at the gate for you.
For me?
Hagrid speaks up. They told us to wait for you to arise properly, but there's an elven caravan outside the gate, and they say they want to speak to you. Personally, like...
Well, let's go see who they are, shall we? Maybe it's my sister.
Do you have a sister? Never mentioned that.
I do have a sister, Wilhelma. And yes, I did not mention her. You never asked.
Fair.
I'll go to the gate.
If nobody objects, I will follow.
Okay. The two of you head out. You get to the main gate and it opens, and you are greeted by an elven caravan. The animals used to pull said caravan are not oxen or any livestock that you've ever seen, Wilhelma. They are elk. Magnificent creatures with large horns and just the glossiest coat you've ever seen. They are large, much larger than a warhorse. Much broader and stronger too. It's more of a carriage that it's pulling rather than a cart. There are two of these beasts that pulled the carriage, and the elf who sits atop it. Lysiara would know his dress as being from her people, the Wood Elves. The way that the cart is constructed is almost as if it's grown straight from nature itself. You don't see any markings of tool work or any such thing. It's a marvellous thing to see, Wilhelma, and you may have seen similar types of elven luxury carts before, as your time as a trader when you were young, but not in many years, if ever. There are, I believe, there are 6, I believe they're wild wardens, adorned in, well, elven craft armour is always quite splendid and spectacular to see, and the 5 wardens are no different. They strike a very impressive guard, their eyes and also ears on the lookout constantly. Even sat here in front of the walls and the gate, they scan the ruins around you, ever vigilant. As you take in the sight, the door on the carriage opens. Lysiara, you immediately know the individual who exits. It is your sister.
I'll give a courteous bow to Viri. And welcome, sister. May Isha be with you. What brings you to these lands? I'll say in Atharan.
She looks as if she has aged, slightly matured in a way that she holds herself since when you last saw her.
Aged only in the ways elves can see.
Yes, she still looks very young, beautiful. Wilhelma, you would think she is a young adult, no more. But like Lysiara.
She probably looks She probably looks about my age, maybe, but younger. Wilhelma's 22.
I think she's older than Lysiara. Lysiara is the younger sister. And Lysiara is 71? Where is it? Background. Help me out here.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah, Lysiara is 71, so Lysiara is still, a young child.
Or you even past puberty for elves.
I have, actually. 71 is about 20 for humans. And I don't know how much older my sister would be. I'll leave that to you, this.
Cool. She appears as if she is aged in mannerism more than in facial wrinkles, as is common with your kind. She does not greet you as warmly as you would expect, however. As she steps down out of the carriage, she steps towards you with purpose and intent, and raises an arm, but stops herself. Sister, I know you left for your reasons. But do you not realize that your actions have consequences even for us?
I remembered correctly.
I didn't. No, not that. Just something happened. Yes, one helmet. Yes.
That was totally an OC comment. I remembered that.
Yes, OOC that did indeed happen, but it wasn't that thing. It was just a minor thing.
Still, it's a thing.
Lisa is gonna, cock her head a little bit to the side and say, "Forgive me, sister, but I do not understand what you mean."
The years Our family have spent cultivating, like others, our herb gardens, our medicine plants, our sacred treasures to our family. Because of your want to use your powers, we have lost a large part of that. Mother and father are besides themselves. Plants that their grandparents tended from saplings, nurtured, are gone. Father wanted to send the wardens to bring you back. I know you will return when you are ready, but I would... You can see that there is real fury in her words, and she's trying very, very hard to keep control of them and to not let them flare out.
Can I roll either intelligence or arcane knowledge to basically realize to realize what out of character I know, which is a minor chaos manifestation happened to my closest family member.
Yes,
I
yes,
suppose
you
that
can.
if you rolled something on the table.
Yeah. Do I roll intelligence or academic knowledge?
I'll leave that up to you. You could technically use both of them, because intelligence is remembering, whereas your academic knowledge is remembering that magic has downsides, and
It's pretty much the same roll for both, so I'm gonna roll first intelligence to remember. I do remember the happening. It was in the... Oh, that's the GM. Sorry about that. Make all rules public.
I'll say now, it was a success. He rolled a 15 with a target of 76. So as soon as she mentions your want of use of magic, you're very quick to, oh, I remember. Oh, actually, I didn't write down when it happened. Damn it, why didn't you... I've written down on your sheet that it...
That wasn't the spider cave. That was, I think,
That-
before.
That was actually in the spider cave.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was precisely before we killed the mother spider, I believe, or while I was killing the mother spider. So I re-rolled that because I, 76 target and I roll 95 now.
So yes, you're well aware from your studies and from your learning that... Has this happened around you before? I don't think it's happened directly, but you would have seen in magical texts all the different kinds of things that Zinch's curse will inevitably drop.
And that actually has never happened before to the Sierra. But she knows that it can happen, so she would just go like, oh no, I know what she's talking about.
It's a minor manifestation, and you have so much magical tomes that you can go through that, yeah, for the minor stuff, yeah, you're just like, oh dear.
I'm like, oh no. Forgive me, sister, but my trials have been arduous along this past year, and forgive me again. I had no control over how the winds of magic can sometimes act. As soon as my task is done, I promise I'll return home and I'll right my wrongs for as long as I'd have to, but for now my task is far too important. It is after all for the good of our people.
She sighs heavily, audibly, and you can see almost tension and almost like stress and anger just kind of leave her as her arms fall down to her sides, and she takes a step towards you and embraces you in a hug. Why can you not just Could you not have sent us a word? Could you not have told us how you will be going into battle? You'll be using your powers more. Sister, we're not as far away as... And she looks at Wilhelma, giving Wilhelma a slight smile and a nod.
I assume I understand not a single word of this conversation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just making sure.
But she gives you a curt smile and a nod to at least acknowledge, you are there. She's not blanking you.
I return like a curt, like a half bow. Just, acknowledge that she acknowledges me. I know etiquette.
I'm gonna speak in authority. Forgive my manners, sister. This mayfly is, well, this is Wilhelma, can I tell? Wilhelma, my sister Viri.
It's a pleasure to meet you. What's a mayfly?
She goes to Ruckspiel. One of my sister's comrades. It is a pleasure to meet you. She holds out her hand to shake. It's a little odd seeing an elf go to shake a hand of a human. She's had very little contact with humans in all, and she's a little awkward, but the intent is kind and honest.
I mean, Wilhelma is a mayfly, but I'm presenting Wilhelma as, someone is actually not that bad of a mayfly. Hey, we're relevant. We say stuff like that.
Quite the wizard. Plenty of fireballs lately, most of which saved our lives.
Yes, her use of magic is why I'm here. But at the very least, she has not become overwhelmed by it and understands the dangers of it. I will ensure that Father does not bring you home, sister.
Thank you, Viri. I appreciate it, as always. I must follow the path that Isha and Liliath set up for me.
Your sister makes, as you say, the name of your gods. She closes her eyes in almost a respectful manner. Acknowledgement that it's not a selfish goal that you're on.
Kinda, yeah, but, I'm kind of a seer too, so... I have visions, I follow them. It's important.
If this is where you're needed, sister, then I will not stop you, but I would at the very least try to mitigate what you know can happen. Mother and father and the rest of our family will no longer be tending our gardens. We will indulge ourselves in other pursuits. For a short time, at least. Lycia, you would know a short time, it could be years.
A short time could be several generations. It's like, yeah, short. Mayfly years, basically.
This year I still don't understand why you're here.
Yeah, I never did tell you that, did I?
No. Then again, we never really asked. Well, maybe Azura did.
No. You never asked. I never told. I never asked and I have never said. Also, one out of character, one thing that I find it to be funny, when how they're calling me, a great wizard. Wizard lords are considered to be equivalent to elven apprentice mages. So
I mean, well, Helma hasn't really met a lot of mages, so she doesn't exactly have a scale, you know?
yes, it's just out of character. I find it super
I
funny
know.
that she's like such a great mage. She's almost a wizard lord to humans. That's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of shit.
Yeah, it's one of the issues when you have to deal with elves. It's like, technically I can't like just keep XP back from you and be like, no, in 5 years you can have an upgrade because that's what it should be. It's like, okay, she's gonna have to be on the fast track.
You know what happens when you acquire too much power over too short a period of time? You explode, I think.
The
Well,
vessel
was always
breaks.
I'm not an orc.
True.
He can still explode.
True. I will. Theron also introduce Viri to both Kurasu and Bloodstone. I'm just gonna be stroking the invisible hound that I have, and the raven is probably on my shoulder at this point.
Okay. You don't need to do a magical sense for this. Your sister hasn't grown much in power. Perhaps she spent her times doing other academic pursuits, but you have definitely grown in power since she last saw you. And the two familiars at your side only confirm this. I see you have grown into your powers quite quickly, sister. You haven't taken shortcuts, have you?
With magic, there are no shortcuts, sister. If I did take shortcuts, I would probably not be alive at this point.
She does smile at that when you say as a reassurance that you're not doing anything too dodgy.
I'm not using dark magic. Not at all.
I mean, you definitely hadn't had a chance to look into a necromancer's grimoire or anything.
I actually didn't really read much of that grimoire. And I currently only have one grimoire, so...
Shush.
She speaks in Elvish to Elflaren, whatever it is, to one of the individuals inside the wagon. No, not wagon. I also coach. That's the bloody word. Fuck me. To the coach, and an elven man comes out, goes round to the back, to the storage area of the carriage.
Also, not that Luciera thinks about it, she's going to go, please, sister, and your entourage, please come inside. Although it's Mayfly walls, these walls are safer than the outside. Mordheim is, well, after all, right around the corner.
She speaks to a couple of the wardens. Lysiara would understand it. She's basically asking, do they have enough time to go back, or would it be better to stay the night? It's early morning now, so you would 100% be sure that they rode through the night to get here.
Yeah, I thought Lauren is quite far.
There are a few safe zones where they can stop off. Again, your people don't genuinely stop off in human towns. There are a few areas and what are they called? I think it's hedge stones where they can go, or hedges, which are basically all along the world. I'm forgetting all my words today. Along the world route, the magical routes. There are safe zones along that where your people have in the past used as staging posts. You know, they've got magical warding, so they can rest there until moving on.
There are also, although I thought Lauren is the Holy Land and where most of the Wood Elves are, there are also other outposts.
Yes.
Like the Great Forest to the north, and right next to Mordheim, I do believe there's also a northern city.
I think there is, because there are wood elves who go into Mordheim for reasons that are tabletop related.
Yeah.
I know there is one, but I just can't remember if it's actually in a forest near Siegfriedhof or if it's further along. But you would know that they've travelled, like, from the look of the animals.
The Great Forest is to the north of Warhammer, so it's further away from Siegfriedhof. You'd go past two human towns, Bissendorf and Tower, and then you'd reach the Great Forest, which is the northern outpost.
Yeah.
An outpost, cities and whatnot.
The elven wild wardens. I'm sure that's the right word. I'm positive. I'm going to stick with it. The wild wardens turn the captain of the group, turns and says that if we can rest the animals for a short time, we can take off this afternoon. They seem more concerned about their animals than themselves. You would know, Lysiara, your people don't need much sleep, and with at the speed of which these animals can move across rough country, you would know they can easily make good time through woods, let alone a well-kept road.
Yeah. And besides, as Wood Elves, we would probably try not to harm animals in any way possible. So if the animals need rest, they get rest.
So as that you were discussing this, as your sister and the captain are discussing this, the elven man returns from the baggage cart, and he has basically a hamper, a very large hamper, and goes over to you, Lysiara. As you watch the elven soldiers dismount their steeds, your sister turns. Yes, we will rest our animals in your walls. They may feel calmer. This place is. It has all animals on edge, including us. Of course, yes. Sister, it's been so long since you left us. In some terms, I brought these for you. She removes the blanket that is on the hamper, and you'll see that there is elven bread, elven wines, fruits from the forests of Lafloran, along with other produce that you may not have had since the time that you left your homeland.
Sarah probably thinks to herself, "Oh, thank you, chef. Real food, finally. I no longer have to I no longer have to eat this human food. It tastes horrible.
She gives you, like, as you like see the things, and there's like a little glint in your eyes. She gives you like a knowing nod, and sympathetic, as if you are taking on hardships out here.
Oh no, the food is not to the liking of my refined elven palate. Whatever shall I do?
I mean, come on. I haven't had elven wine in more than a year. I've been drinking human and dwarfish beer. Do you know the tragedy?
Hey, don't talk shit about dwarven ale.
It's not elven wine. It's a tragedy.
And as you remember, Lysiara, the excitement of being able to, you almost snatched the hamper out of the man's arms, as your sister has she puts her hand up to her mouth to try and hide the smile, but you can clearly see it. The elven man turns around again and goes back to the baggage cart. As your sister, we will also take a break for a while and I believe have our rations. You're more than welcome to join us, sister. We brought more than enough for the travel. And you can fill me in on what exploits you have been up to whilst out in these lands.
Yes, sister, of course. Please come in. Although this is probably quite out of character for Lysiara, she never really does this. She looks super happy and bright as she's holding this basket, almost like she's hugging this precious, precious thing. Please follow me. I'll guide you to better part of the settlement. I'll introduce you to remember the dwarfy mayflies. And I also do have something to show you that may be of great aid to our people. Still only an early research, but I think you might like it.
But of course, sister, let us enjoy some food from our homeland, and you can tell me of the things that you've been working on. I am most intrigued, and she does genuinely seem to enjoy the conversation between you and seeing the excitement from your gift hamper and what you've been working on. The elves dismount, bring their animals inside. You see that your mercenaries are kind of in awe at looking at these 5 elven warriors in fine arse elven crafted is it mail that no I believe they wear scale
and the fine elven ass too.
She hasn't walked in yet. They look at with their incredible white hats and their elven bows strung across their backs. These mercenaries look at their gear, just almost drooling. One of the elven soldiers' swords. I'm pretty sure this is right. It would be made of crap. It's not mithril. It's bloody. Oh, what's the elven metal?
Stupid elven shit.
It's
I'm trying to remember. Give me a second.
It's ill. Oh, nah. It's not Illyrium. It's not Ephelmar. It's not. I hate you elves. Why do you have different? Well, we're going to call it Illyrium for now. Until I film a film.
We're
No, what?
playing XCOM now,
What
boys.
does Frodo have in Lord of the Rings?
Mithril.
Mithril. Oh,
Mithril. It is Mithril.
yeah, it's Mithril.
I do believe mithril is used by both elves and dwarves, isn't it?
So in this, Gromril is orcs, is
No,
dwarves. But
Grumno is dwarves, I believe.
yeah, and Mithril. So if you have it might be called differently in Warhammer Fantasy. We're going to call it Mithril for now. Essentially, it will make any armor one class lighter. So if you have Mithril heavy armor, it counts as medium armor. And with weapons, it gives any weapon the fast quality. So
Ew.
these weapons that they have, the hilts, and it is just crafted to something that the mercenaries could never hope to have. You may catch them just looking at their own weapons and just like sighing.
It's not mithril, it's Ithilmar.
Ithelmar.
Page 44 from the Old World Armory. Grumril is the orc, I believe.
No, Grumno is
No,
dwarven.
Grumril is Dwarven, yes. Extracted from meteoric iron. And Ithilmar is forged by elven smiths. Priceless metal, known to be lightweight and durable.
And you would note that there are a couple of... They're servants, but elven servants are much like dwarven servants. They're not low-class citizens. They're actually looked after really well and have their own houses and estates. It's not like, you know, the servant at the bottom of the basement. The group has 3 servants that... One of them was the man who came out of the carriage with Lysiara's sister. Lysiara, you would probably remember him as one of your sister servants from home. The other 2 appear to be just hirelings. But they begin bringing baskets of materials in with them. You would note that there's a couple of bottles of wine in the baskets.
Lysiara is almost crying with joy, seeing more elven wine.
And they make your way in.
Lysiara would be courteous to every elven brother and sister that was coming into the camp, but if she knows any of the elves, like the servant, she would be extra cautious with that person because it's basically an old friend. That...
Sure. You may have seen one of the wild wardens before. Your people live for a very long time, and most of you are congregated. There's a good chance that you may have met 1 or 2 of them in passing before, but they all greet you as like a lost sister, essentially. However, as you make your way in, and I should imagine you would go towards a table somewhere where they can lay out their food and have glasses, you enter the manor house.
I would give caution to Viri and the captain about the tower, because they most assuredly would see the tower and would be like, what the fuck is that? So just caution them that, you know, don't meddle with it.
They do mention that there was something ominous in this area. They were able to figure out it was in the camp, in the walls, but not its precise location. And after entering, your sister doesn't notice it straight away, but the captain definitely is looking up at the tower, scrutinizing it. But as they enter the manor house, the servants begin cleaning. Apparently this place is not clean enough, as they put down the baskets and immediately begin taking things out, wiping things down, and taking plates and wiping, and as you enter into the main building, the dwarves are still there, and there is actually a look of shock on your sister's face. And in Elvish, sister, you keep company with dwarves?
Grace traitor!
Well, I unfortunately have to keep company with whoever can help me in my journey. That includes dwarves, yes.
But how can you... She kind of crinkles her nose a bit, and they are very pungent.
Don't tell me. I know, tell me about it. I don't exactly sleep inside this house. I mean, look at it. It's filthy. Look at that dwarf. It has pillow in his mouth.
And indeed, you can see the dwarves have pipes going, smoke filling the air. No windows open at the moment. They have ale and cheeses and other things that are quite pungent smelling. But your sister appears to... very well, you must do what you must, if Isha guides you, I suppose. She takes a seat at the end of the table as some of the servants come in, beginning to move some of the items out off the table and out into the kitchen. The other elves sit down as well, kind of isolating themselves to one half of the table. Obviously the dwarves have noticed they're not that inebriated yet, and they are talking in Dwarvish until Hagrin kind of emptying his pipe onto the table, not onto an ashtray, just onto the table. He places his pipe down and says something in Dwarvish, laying his hand flat into the air, and Lysiara, who are your friends?
So I was gonna take a deep breath, look at Viri, and say in Eltharin, this is Hagrid's sister. He's probably the best dwarf around, so although he's still a dwarf, be kind to him. Hagrid, this is my sister Viri. Viri, this is Hagrid, the blacksmith.
It's a pleasure to meet any blood relative of Lysiada. She's a good person. He doesn't like go over to shake her hand, but he does like give her a bow of the head and a curt smile.
I mean, dwarves and elves shaking hands. The heresy.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Haglin. It's a pleasure to meet you. What is your relation with my sister? Oh, well, she's I've helped equip some of her warband members, and we're currently well, doing this expedition partly because of myself, and your sister has her reasons for wanting to go into Mordheim. So I mutual benefit of cooperative parties, shall we say. I see. Well, so long as you are all working together, and I suppose you and Lysiara Wilhelma are in charge of this expedition? Aye, yes, and there's a couple of others, but they're ill at the moment. But yes, it's Lysiara's warband and her associates and myself. They have their reasons for going into Mordheim as well. He kind of has a like little guilty kind of look on his face for a second, before carrying on. I don't suppose you've come to go into Mordheim, have you? Your sister laughs. No. I had business with my sister. We will be leaving once our animals have rested. Oh, aye, well, I tell you what, we've got work to be doing, and I'm sure you don't need us in here rabbiting on about steel and such. So I'll get the rest of the lads to get back to work. And Hagrid turns around. As you're still in his eyesight, Lysiara, as he's turning, he kind of gives you a little wink, and you can hear him speaking in Dwarvish and kind of gesturing with his hands, and the other dwarves, and Timothy, not Timothy, sorry, that's a different game, and Peter all seem to get he seems to get the idea as well, and they make their way
I wish
out.
I could speak Dwarven already.
Although Lysiara is by no means, she has by no means no prejudice at all. It's just that elves don't usually mix with dwarves.
Yes, very true.
There's kind of bad blood between the two races.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Although Lysiara is kind of, she's apart from that because she's a wanderer, and she's on a quest. She knows she can't be bound by the status quo. She's always, I mean, dwarves can be friends too. So, but she understands that leaving elves and dwarves that don't usually see eye to eye on the same place together is probably not a good idea.
You get that feeling from Hagrid as well, that whilst the initial meeting isn't so bad, it's the prolonged time together where things start escalating. The longer that they're together, the more it escalates.
It's it's like an annoying roommate at the beginning. It's fine, but then it's starting to become less and less fine.
It's kind of like Lysiara is a researcher. She's a scientist, so she doesn't really take offense to many things. She's always like, yeah, it happens. But Hagrid did call her, a shit shoveler when he first met her because she literally needed the bat poop.
Yep.
So, I'm not. Other elves might take offense to that. She didn't because she's like, yeah, it's fine. It's just a joke.
Dwarves are very brash and to the point, and whereas elves are more refined and more diplomatic, and it's always going to end in, I believe, one of the reasons the dwarves and elves went to war in the War of the Beards was the elves sent some of their finest wine to the dwarves, and the dwarves, upon receiving this extremely rare and valuable wine, smashed the keg.
What the hell is that dog piss? And you call that alcohol?
Oh no! He smashed the keg open and drunk it then and there, spilling hundreds of gold crowns worth just all over his beard and all down his top. Drank it and said it was a very nice drink. It was very nice, and that they should carry on. And the elves were like, "Oh my god, what the
savages!" It's like you get a bottle of wine, a very good wine, costs like say 1,000 gold crowns, and instead of pouring, appreciating it, smelling the aroma, tasting it refinedly, you just down the whole bottle and smash the rest of the bottle on the ground and say, "Give me another one."
Yeah.
Where the keg at?
I mean, it wasn't. It was one of many things for the War of the Beards, but it was one of the defining things that stuck out to me. Was like, yeah, a dwarf would do that, wouldn't he? Like this ridiculously expensive, like this keg that takes 100 years to just sit and just mature. and elves like drink it. I think that's part of it. Like the Elven King, like people would be happy with just a few drips, just a little taste, and this Dwarven King's just like, yeah, chug it.
Chug, 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 chug.
So Wilhelma, you are invited to stay and partake in the Elven cuisine. Lysiara, of course. The rest of your party are too ill at this moment in time to partake, sadly.
I mean, heck yeah, Elvish cuisine sounds posh.
I will tell Viri and the captain also about the fact that every now and then a ghost might appear and, toss shit around and laugh and go back to the tower. So, don't freak out if you see a ghost. It's fine. She has a kind heart, but she's,
Just don't tell her about the warp stone.
yeah.
You might want to hide that somewhere.
She's a jester, but she means well.
Your sister seems a little perplexed at this, and the captain just... You see him take that information on as a person being informed of a danger. His eyes kind of start... Whereas before it was kept at, floor level, looking through the windows, he now glances up towards the ceiling every now and then, like almost expecting to see a face or something.
I'll actually do a magical sense just to make sure. What's her name?
Bitrude.
Yeah, Gertrude. Yeah.
I gave them too longer names. I really did, but I know she's Bitrude.
Yeah, I have on my list. I just need to find it, but Melanie Ground Fourth Estelin Bertrude. I'm just gonna look around and make sure she's not, around to cause mischief.
She isn't. As you look round with your magical sense, she is nowhere to be seen. You would imagine you haven't heard any shouts today, so perhaps she is doing something for her master.
And, I will not mention the fact that Torias's body is in the middle of a ley line, and there's this super old death mage ghost also in the tower, because
Just be sure she doesn't figure it out herself.
Is that these people are going to leave very soon, so it's like I don't want to make them super worried about a death mage that is like 1,000 years old, that is living in the tower, and he might be watching us while we eat. Like, just enjoy your meal. Don't worry about it. He never leaves the tower. It's fine.
Or does he?
As far as you're aware, he doesn't.
As far as we're aware.
Precisely, and that's all she needs to know right now. She's like, okay. I must show my people that I'm still a refined woman.
There's some conversation about the ghost, and it is quite odd. Your people generally set the dead to rest, even if they're an invading army to their land. They will normally take the dead and put them in a cairn. It's a cairn or a cairn. It's a big burial mound, and they put wards upon it so that the dead can rest in peace. This is always on the outskirts of your land, never within the forest, but it protects them from necromancers, and most countries of armies that are stupid enough to invade the Wood Elves are at least thankful that their remains are put to rest. It is odd to willingly have a ghost and not deal with it, so there is some discussion back and forth about this, but nothing just
Yeah,
general discussion in a world where these things aren't exactly rare.
it's more along the lines of Luciano would put Bertrude to rest, but she kind of can't. Bertrude is a crazy servant of a death major that is doing important research, so
That, and you don't know where her remains are at the moment, so...
that as well. She would put Therese to rest, but Therese is in the middle of a ley line. And she's like, how the hell?
I mean, I don't see why he would be opposed to that at all.
Yeah. Receiving that much raw magic energy and, not going completely batshit insane and, chaotic. Fine.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
But yeah. This era will be enjoying real food and the company of her people.
So, I would guess that you would tell her that about the battle for Siegfriedhof, the necromancers. Maybe not in the greatest of details, but snippets and bits that you feel comfortable telling her and the wardens. They seem quite amazed.
Viri is kind of like to at least Luciari, is a beloved older sister that she has no real reason to keep secrets from, unless it's better to keep those secrets. Stuff like Tarias, or maybe that Luciara every now and then has to dabble in dark magic and stuff like that. She will tell her about the battles and her journey so far. That's not something she would keep from Viri.
And they all seem quite captivated by your stories and quite, in a way, shocked that the humans would allow necromancy to go on unnoticed for so long, for it to become such a problem. And your sister would tell you how proud she is that one of their kind, that you were instrumental in stopping that evil. You can definitely see there's pride when she's hearing your stories and hearing what you've actually accomplished and what you've done. And you're quite...
Sierra is actually probably downplaying her role in things, as not look like she wants the spotlight. She's probably like, I was just part of something bigger.
So Wilhelma, this conversation would be in Reichsspiel in common. For one,
I was worried that it's gonna be one of those events where I'm literally the only one who doesn't speak the language, and I'm like looking at the ceiling, the fly on the ceiling. Yes, it's quite good, isn't it?
Fortunately, the elves are more diplomatic than that. Seeing that you are one of Lyciara's companions, the conversation does go in common, unless there's something personal that the sisters want to talk about.
Classical, if they know how.
I mean, we do speak classical too, but
she would probably go with common, not thinking that you would, thinking that it would be easier, because it's the more, at least for elves, it's kind of understood that if you speak Reichsspiel, you'll be understood. It's that common of a language. So Wilhelma, would you play up Lyciara's roles, like where maybe you're telling the stories about the spider cave and how you're collecting ingredients and taking on necromancers?
I mean, yeah, I definitely say that Lyciara saved me in that cave and that we raided a vampire camp.
So, Lyciara, your attempts to play down your actions have basically gone unfulfilled. Where you tried to play it down as it was just a spell that helped the day, and no, it was fireballs that flew through the air and obliterated. Wilhelma doesn't really see where you were going.
The Sierra will still try to downplay it because she's like, yeah, we fought this spider, but you know that there's like spiders 10 times bigger than this that we have to fend off in the Athelloran forest. So it's just a baby spider. I didn't do much.
A few hours go by of just conversations, stories. There's a few moments when your sister speaks to you in Elvish to inform you about your parents and how the family is doing, and just more personal family affairs. She had explained that, whilst your mother is very worried and was quite taken aback about what happened, she was more worried about you, but your father, being your father, was more concerned about what damage had been done, and that after hearing what you'd been doing, she will try her best to smooth things over. You enjoy the meal, which, Wilhelma, for you, whilst it seems more underwhelming than what you were expecting, everything is prepared with just a perfect balance of flavours and taste. Nothing is too strong or too pungent. The floral flavours just complements the actual sweetness or sourness of the dish itself. The wine is also of excellent quality, and something you may have had a few sips of before, or something that's completely new to you, but you see Lysiara perhaps swilling the wine and just savouring the taste.
Lysiara will be just looking really, 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 really happy and out of character for herself. Just wine, real wine, been forever. I miss this. Wilhelma Lysiara probably looking like a smug noble, just being all posh and annoying, just enjoying refined wine. Been so long.
And after, as a couple of hours pass, as you're talking, reminiscing, stories are told, food is eaten, and drink is drunk, before your sister brings up that you wish to go to talk about magical theory of some such.
I will tell her about my research in Eltherin about the. Yes, like about this. I will be telling her about the rift shifting research I've been doing.
Okay. So as you go into some detail about the spell and about how useful it could be, and how it could be an excellent way of sending messages or just being able to travel distances, she's fascinated and taken in by the theories that you're bringing forth and how the ritual should work. But she does bring up concerns about the cost of the spell, of the mental drain and the physical damage that could be done. These are things you have, of course, taken into consideration.
Yes, but Lysiara, if she does bring that up, Lysiara will tell her that Yeah, the cost is high, but this is still, early stages of the research, and I'm just an apprentice mage. A master wizard could probably improve upon my research enormously, or even find a better way than I can.
So, as far as I'm aware, in lore, you have created a new spell within the lore. I know
Yep.
of no such spell that is capable of doing what you are setting out to do. There are magical items that are able to do a much, much, much lesser degree, but they have limitations. So she is quite fascinated by the entire premise and how you've constructed the idea and how you intend to use the winds, and you spend a good hour, 2 hours just gossiping on magical theory.
Yep, yep.
And you'd be quite surprised at how some of the more complex parts of the spell you have to explain to her. It definitely appears as if she has not progressed nearly at the rate that you have. And again, there's that sense of pride of seeing your younger sibling, you know, coming into their own, blossoming in their chosen art. But sadly, the time passes all too soon, and a few of the elves come and go, checking on their mounts, and before long, they seem to have rested. Your sister seems quite depressed when the warden comes in and informs you that the beasts are ready to ride. If you wish to go now, we can essentially make it to the next. What did we say it was again? The next outpost by next morning.
It's the Great Forest to the north. And I don't know if they would go for the long route, which would be Great Forest and Lauterlorn Forest and then south to Athelloren, or if they just would go up and then straight out.
For their creatures and the wagon itself, they can go. They can actually go off road. They are not bound to the roads. Plus, they can ride all day and all night, with only needing to worry about their creatures to carry them. So they should be. I'm trying to remember. I remember looking in an elven book, and it was like elven creatures can travel ridiculously far. I can't remember where that was. If that was Total War, if that was Mordheim, City of the Damned, tabletop, or if that was something else. But they should be perfectly fine.
Yeah. I'm just thinking more like the longer way would probably be safer because you'd be going through Elven outposts, and the Elven was also cure for elves. So what else that is?
You can actually see as the wardens arise first. They go and set the elk up, and you can hear them discussing routes, which route is safer, which would be best at this time of the year. But your sister pulls you to one side. I don't know if we will meet again, but seeing how much you've grown, I should imagine it won't be too long. Look after yourself, and may Isha always guide you, as she has done so far. She embraces you in a very tight, quite long hug.
Well, he should protect you on your journey home, sister. And she will also look to the wild wardens and say, and may your aim be true, and Lilith guide you on your hand.
They give you a curt bow and a salute, and they leave, preparing their animals, moving them out, getting the carriage reconnected, and the animals set. Your sister turns to Wilhelma. Miss Wilhelma, it's been a pleasure meeting you, and I hope that whatever fortune has got you this far continues to watch over you and my sister.
Thank you. And that is certainly a wish I share.
She gives you a large smile, a nod of the head, before turning back, having one last look at her younger sister, and then turning and entering the carriage. And with a pull on the reins, the carriage begins to be pulled away.
The Sierra will look a little bit deflated as they disappear in the horizon.
Visiara, you may remove one insanity for your time spent with your sister.
Ooh, that is good.
Sadly, Wilhelma, it wasn't that relieving for you. It was nice.
It's fine.
Alas,
it's not like I have a lot of anti-points anyway.
Alas, I did not have any insanity, so...
This isn't like Dark Heresy when you take insanity by the buckets.
Yeah, and also... Lysiara she's quite a strong-willed, person. So she doesn't, get insanity as easily.
Surprising for a mage, I know.
It also depends on RNGesus, because every time you take a critical hit, you essentially take one insanity, because you were so close to death, and Ulrich could have fucking had your head. But...
He could. He didn't, though.
It's why I think like Ted's got quite a few insanity points.
Funnily enough...
That's what happens when you go trapping on the magic mushrooms.
Funnily enough,
weird pronunciation.
Funnily enough, I think most of the damage Lysiara took was because of herself casting spells, so she might, the spell might backfire and hurt her, or she might need some blood, so she stabs her hand to actually get some blood for a spell and something like that. So usually she doesn't really take much damage. I don't think I was ever struck once that actually hurt me.
So, Lysiara, you can put down in your inventory that you have 3 bottles of elven wine and 2 meals worth of elven food. Essentially 2 days worth is...
Yeah.
So you can eat quite happily on elven food for an entire 2 days. And you have a few bottles of wine for when you need that little reminder of home and moment to just sink away with your books.
No, I'll make sure to hide the elven wine and
the tower,
because
God, can you imagine what would happen if Billy Bob was still here?
Because, well, I mean, this is elven wine, and nothing against dwarves, but I don't think their palate is as refined as as an elven wine, as an elven palate. I don't think the dwarves can actually, appreciate the beauty of of wine.
So I
And then
will. No, they really can't. I will add that Bugman's the really good, tasty, not the strongest, but the tastiest beers. Elves actually do. It is palatable. It is nice. It's just compared to, I think Elven wine's the best wine in the game, in the world. I think.
And also, I will be hiding from Azuroth because even though Azuroth is an elf, he is kind of dwarfish. And
Azurf was a
so,
high elf, right?
yeah, he's a high elf. So he doesn't really. And he's a high elf that thinks he's a dwarf. So I don't think he's also capable of appreciating this elven wine.
Probably a good thing I decided to hold this little event in escrow until such time as I needed it, like these times. Imagine if your sister had met Azurf. What the
Oh
fuck is
boy.
he? Oh.
Tragedy.
Hmm.
See,
Oh, the tragedy.
he's from Marienburg, that's why.
Ah.
At least I think Azurf was from Marienburg. I cannot remember. I think he mentioned that.
She should probably. She would probably be in horror if she met Azura. No offense, because
She'd
Azura
have
behaves like
PTSD.
she would have PTSD. She's like, what? What manner of elf are you?
Not a very good one, apparently.
Precisely. You're you're an elf. Why do you behave as a dwarf? It makes no sense.
So as midday is upon you two, there are a few tasks, a few jobs that need to be done. I'm sure Lysiara has some research that she could, maybe have a look at. The rest of the day passes without incident. The excitement that's in the camp, though, remains, with your mercenaries and the few peasants who are able to get a look at the elves. That's all they talk about, just their grace, their majesty, just how they just were equipped in the best equipment, and just kind of awestruck. Because it is rare for mercenaries and peasants to be so close to wood elves in particular. Was there anything that you two would like to do with the rest of this day?
So we'll just go back to research. There's that other research. She needs to finish the. Oh, she needs to do the final touches, so she can actually use. So she's just gonna be splitting her focus on both her research, the big one, which is the rift shifting, and the other one, which is she kind of thinks it would be very good for the body.
Okay. And Wilhelma, would you just be helping out the dwarves?
Definitely helping Dimzid and still probably going over the books. No, it's small things. It's one of the first times we've had downtown and we weren't perpetually drunk. So she's kind of not sure what to do with herself.
Now, downtime and not actually drunk. We've been drinking elven wine this entire time. You're probably super happy right now because you appreciated what the best the world can offer. You probably still can't appreciate it. You're still human, but
It's a success, and the elves weren't drinking the wine to get drunk. It's like the French drinking it with a meal, appreciating it.
Sure.
So you are definitely not drunk, Wilhelma. You drunk that down easily, just perfectly fine. So sure, you can go over the engineering book if that was what you were on about, or the accounting book.
Whichever was more pressing, really.
Sure, we'll say the engineering book because
Okay.
that helps you on your way, and you have a pleasant evening. There's no events take place, nothing seems to happen. On the next day, you're woken up much the same. Gabrielle and Azurif are still ill, but you're presented with a choice today. You can carry on remaining at the base and performing whatever tasks you can until your teammates recover, or you can take a few of the dwarves and you can go into Mordheim.
Actually, I have one question, mechanical question.
Sure.
Does Strike Mighty Blow, which gives me +1 damage, does that apply to unarmed too?
Yes, unarmed it would work. Doesn't work on ranged weapons.
So
only
my
throwing.
unarmed damage is only strength bonus -2 instead of -4.
Yes, I believe. But isn't it -3?
I have street fighting, which gives me +10
yes.
to weapon skill in unarmed, and it also gains me +1 bonus on damage rolls with unarmed.
So with Strike Mighty Blow, I won't give it to ranged unless it's if you're throwing a weapon, I will allow it because it allows throwing weapons to get +1 damage, and you are using your strength to throw the thing. So that's where I'm like, okay, no, I'll allow that. I think it also changes, like if you roll with throwing weapon, it adds your strength bonus onto it anyway, whereas with a ranged weapon it doesn't. So yeah, kind of made sense that way in my head anyway. So yes, what would you two in character, which would you choose? Would you rather wait and see if your comrades can recover, or would you venture into Mordheim to see what you could maybe pillage or check out the docks?
Really, we should go talk with the ogres.
Yeah, Lucero probably wanted to go speak to the ogre, especially after what Hagrid told us. That, these dudes are, nuts and will eat anything, but they are super useful. However, there's also the fact that we need to clear the road.
We would need to take serfs in, though.
True.
So you do have the option. If you want to take a cart to the docks, you will need to clear the road. If you take a small team of 6 of you, you can leave the cart behind and you'd be able to carry things in and out. Obviously, if you come across the mother load, you're a little bit stuck because can you carry it out? But yeah, it's up to you. You can clear the road this time round, or you can take a small party in and do it that way.
You know what? At least in my opinion, it could be a good idea to, while the rest of the team is still down, to make a very small incursion to clear the road. But while we're clearing the road, we could always just look around just in the road where it's blocked. We could always check the houses around for some goodies.
And bottom line, we would still actually have achieved something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we should go and attempt to clear the road.
Sure. Okay. So you want do you want to take a small team with a few serfs to help you clear the road? Yeah.
Yeah. This year would also like to bring a little more food, just in case we bump into the ogre, so she can bribe them with food.
Sure. So what I would say is every person who goes in takes one set of rations. As I was reminded last time, one lot of rations is 8 days worth of food. So
Yep.
you all have one ration on you. The serfs, if you want, if you take 3 serfs, they can take an extra 2 each. So that would mean you'd have 6 spare.
I don't think we should go that overboard, but maybe Serf brings one set of rations too, because I don't think we're gonna be spending an entire week clearing the road.
Sure. So if the 3 serfs, if they just bring an extra one, so you'll have 3 extras.
Yeah, just in case.
Okay. A cart again is used to take you to as close to Mordheim as the horses will take you. They get a little bit spooked, and where you're not going into the city, you're left half a mile before the gates. It is you two plus 2 dwarves and 3 serfs. Would you want to take a mercenary, or try to take a mercenary? Or would you want a named character, like Dimzid or Hagrin, or... There are other named dwarfs. Well, technically all the dwarfs have names, but I haven't remembered all of them.
Since we're out of character, technically in half a party, I don't think we should bring any named characters.
Yeah,
Just to
just
be
in
safe.
case.
Yeah.
Let's just take some nameless mercenaries.
Okay, so I'll leave the dwarves where they are, and you can have... do you want 3 mercenaries to go with you?
Sure.
Sure. Frey sounds like okay group.
Because that means you're a group of 8 altogether.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So by 8 o'clock, half 8, you are dropped off close to the gates. The mercenaries do insist that the 3 that come along do get some of whatever you find. Essentially, they want a 10% cut to be split between the 3 of them. They're greedy bastards. They weren't really paid to go into Mordheim. Would that be acceptable to the group, or do you want to try and persuade them to do it for free or to do it for less?
10% of whatever we find of this small excursion to Luciara is fine.
I mean, unless we literally strike gold.
I don't know, but it's still 10% of whatever we find. So if we find something that is super awesome, we technically can't share it with them, but we can always just pay them.
Or we could find Warpstone. And then the problems begin.
Yeah, don't touch any of the green stuff. That's one thing the seller will hammer down while we're going towards more than. Because yeah, don't touch green stuff. If you see something green and glowy, don't look at it. Don't even think about it. It does not exist. Just go away.
Yes, yes, green, glowy Warpstone. Yes.
They nod and sure, yeah, okay. No glowy stones. Cool.
Also, this is probably not gonna make sense to these people. It does to Luciara because she knows about these, but she will say if you hear scratching and you see something coming out of the ground, you know, try not to engage unless necessary. Just fall back to the group and fight as a group because if you see stuff coming out of the ground, it's probably bad. Because
the lead of the three, he just nods and okay, see things in the shadows or noises or things off the floor, bad. Gotcha, boss.
Yeah, if you see red little bitty eyes in the darkness, just shoot. Shoot it, but try not to engage alone. And don't pursue it. By God, don't pursue it.
Right, gotcha. Don't pursue it. Green, yeah, right, okay. He nods along. He seems to be accepting of what you're saying. Just a little bit like, really, okay, this is a little bit odd, but sure, okay. If that's what the boss says, fine.
Luciaren, by the book, because of the book she has, probably knows that Skaven are cowards. But the mercenary press on and Skaven are coming out of the ground. It's probably bad because Skaven are never alone. They're always in packs, and Skaven packs are, bad news.
So, your mercenaries, are pretty prepared. They understand what's what, and know kind of what you're talking about and what to look out for. It's a little confusing, but they seem to get it. As you approach, there's definitely, like, the mercenaries were kind of a bit ballsy when they were asking for 10%, and there was a little bit of cockiness when you were telling them, watch out for this, don't just blunder into that. But once they start getting closer to the city, that ballsiness disappears. There's a real air of, what the fuck have we walked into? What did we agree to? But after some reassurances, they are led and they do go into the city. The peasants seem to be having a more difficult time of it than the mercenaries. The mercenaries do as they're told. They are watching, scanning, looking everywhere. Heads on a swivel, just looking at every corner. As you enter, it's the same as when you entered before. Nothing too much has changed. Give me a perception test, please. Both of you.
I'm just thinking they were probably thinking, yeah, 10%. We're being ballsy, greedy, but instead of probably, yeah, the moment they start seeing veins and arms growing out of houses, they'll be like, oh yeah, we're not being paid enough.
Skeletons melted together.
Yeah.
Lysiara and Wilhelma, you scan around the city as you enter, and there are a few things that are slightly different than when you first entered. A few signs have fallen. Not too much to be worried about. It could have just been the weather that had done that. A few things do seem amiss, though, as you look around. It's almost as if things have been moved, and you can't quite be sure. Was that road there before? Or was that... Perhaps that passage was... That side alley was there. Perhaps I just missed it before. Perhaps someone else was looking, and more of these occasions, of these events happen. You seem to look at things, and I'm sure that was on the other side of the road. why is it on this side? And there are oddities that your men don't really notice at this moment. At this moment, they're looking around similarly to how you were when you first entered. But with your successes, you can see that there is definitely something going on. Streets have moved. Yeah, with those degrees of success, you would both realise that streets have moved.
Oh, I actually haven't rolled. Whoopsie.
Oh, sorry, that was consume alcohol. Oh, I thought that was perception. Well, at least one of you definitely notices.
I mean, I kind of... Oh
no,
yeah,
that's more than good. That's
Good job.
with more than enough degrees to actually notice that. Yeah, that street wasn't there before. That definitely was over there, and it's disconcerting.
My sketched map is probably worthless now, isn't it?
Some of the main streets that you walk along are correct. It seems to be more of the side roads that have all changed. Oh, you... Damn you, why did I... yeah, it's the side roads that appear to have changed, and where before you may have marked down that there was a small side road here, it no longer is there. And in other areas where you've marked down, okay, yep, this is just a dead end, a straight, and no, now it's... There's a small alley that leads off that way, and but for the majority of your map, the main road that you walked along last time is exactly the same. The main road down to the docks. Perfect. And although there's some muttering from your men, you seem to make it to the obstruction as before. You notice at this point your men's moods and their jovial nature and their mutterings is getting worse. Let me just... I should give them a couple of roles because they deserve to be a part of this team as well. Mercenary crossbow.
Can I also do something while we're moving further in?
Sure.
I know from my previous time here that my magic will probably not be as effective, but if I can at least keep the morale high and, just make sure that they're not, just shitting their pants in terror at every turn.
So the mercenaries, as you walk along, and you look at the people around. Are you just channeling, or are you doing the magical perception?
No, I'm not. I'm just channeling that the target is actually wrong. It's supposed to be 101, not 111.
Okay.
I forgot that I didn't have to add the plus 10. And I'm actually going to cast something while we're moving, just so you know.
Okay. You would know with your... I'll give you with your perception. The mercenaries have noticed some of the stranger things, some of the things that aren't normal. I'll do their willpower checks now to see how they're coping with this, just in case you could only do it on a few people.
It's allies that are within 30 yards from me.
So, one of the... Well, no, he was with 4... No, you don't add a degree of success, so no. One of them fails badly enough to begin... He looks shaken. The other one of them has succeeded perfectly fine, and he, whilst noticing the oddities, he isn't perturbed by them. The other one's... He's a holding. but one of them has failed and does seem scared. However, you do also have labourers, so let me just check on them, because the labourers don't do so well. Where are... it's because I've got a ewer there, that's why. Common labourer. So, do the labourers notice any of the weird stuff that's going on, or are they ignorant? Because sometimes ignorance is bliss, you know. Sometimes. And it looks like they may all end up being ignorant. How can you be a labourer and not have any perception?
You don't need to see to work.
They're all missing digits. Or digits or toes. They're all missing some. Only one of the mercenaries looks shaken. If that helps with your magic.
Actually, my magic gives them plus 20% bonus to resist fear and terror, so long as they're near me. So I'd say it's kind of like there's this warmth coming out of Lysiara whenever they get scared, they just look at Lysiara and feel a little bit more comfort and less scared.
Okay.
So
the labourers are oblivious to what's going on. The mercenary who was scared, who was like freaking out a little bit, he has calmed down almost completely. With essentially, I'm not making them roll again. I'm just taking 3 degrees of failure off, which would keep him in the safe zone. So I'm doing things a little bit differently for NPCs, just so it's a little bit quicker. They are fine. You are almost to the obstruction, as you're within the time of your spell. 2 minutes after you cast, 3 minutes, you come round the corner that is on your drawn map, and you see the obstruction. You see the area of debris that your group climbed over and squeezed through, and the cart that is blocking the way. And this is where I'll bring you over to the map. Hang on, how did I do? No, what's going on? Whoa. Okay, that's a new one. I didn't realise you could click on the zoom in button and have it work to your mouse, which is irritating. So right, let's bring you over to the map. Sorry, I actually have to give you an area where you can enter the map. Here we go. Oh, no. Here.
Darkness. I see
Yes,
darkness.
it is.
My hood fell off.
There is a small area of cobbled, and I'll reveal more that you can see. And technically you can see into here as well. And all of this. All down here. Down here. I'll give you all of the obstruction. I'll give you a bit more of that wall so you know that is a wall. And I'll give you at least to there. And we'll go a little bit further.
I'm gonna be right back real quick.
Yep, not a problem. I'm doing your sight lines, so you would be able to see all of that, and yes, I believe that is all you would see for now. So not a massive amount of the map at the moment, but I will reveal a lot more as essentially as your group moves on. Let me pump down. Oh, please, past me, please, of attached. What the hell is that? My common labourers are a little bit... Should they really be that blue? Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. Hello? My lord. Your mercenaries. No. That's NPC. Shop owners. I want to go to... PCs. NPCs. Mercenaries. Hut, 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 hut. Right, I believe that is all of them. So, we're going to take this in turns, essentially, between either you and Lysiara, and then the NPCs will move, and they'll do a couple of their actions.
Question, the obstruction is this?
Yes.
Okay.
And the cart also obstructs, well, you can just about see that it's a cart down here. That's also obstructing. Yeah, I'll move it over a bit more. It would essentially, it would stop you from bringing your cart through, so that would need to be moved. Or, well, yeah, moved, or if you can think of anything else. Let me actually open up the sheets for this. Do you want a initiative timer, or are you too happy going essentially story mode?
Not in combat.
No, you're not in combat at the moment. For the minute, it's essentially you two are going to act, and then the NPCs are going to move forwards and do their actions. So if you want to start us off, Wilhelma, if you want to walk off or do a perception, or...
Sure, I can perception things. Watch me roll a natural 100 now, because I said that.
So with a success, you look around, you've been here before, and much like the last place, you want to check that nothing has changed. And as you look around, a few things have. A few of the oddities that you saw the last time you were here are no longer here. The two lamps that had been fused together, that's no longer on the walls, and there are no longer... As you look at the debris in front of you, you can see that it's changed. It wasn't like that before. Before you were able to squeeze past, and yes, you had to climb over some bits, but it looks as if it has been travelled upon, as if something has disturbed this. As for noises, there is creaking, there is a breeze coming into Mordheim today, so the old wood is creaking, but you don't hear any sounds of battle, not like you heard before, the sounds of the explosions in the distance. So would you like to move forwards, or would you like to let the elf lead the way?
I'm gonna move forward. There ain't be no stinking knife ears leading the way.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure being the tip of the spearhead in Warhammer isn't exactly a good idea, so you go ahead. More power to you.
It's really odd what I'm seeing on my square, just your character moving slowly along, like 0 squares, 1 square in white.
Wait, it's still moving?
I'm still seeing it. How many times did you click yes in it?
You don't actually have to click, you just hold down Q.
Is it right mouse button? Yeah, it's my right mouse button.
You can just use Q too, they changed the hotkeys.
Huh. See, every time I get used to the hotkeys, they change them.
Mine works with the right mouse button clicked. So
Lysiara, what would you like to do? You can see that there is a doorway over here. You can see into a room on this side.
Before I want to do two things. I want to do first a perception check, just to just look around first,
Sure.
see if I notice anything more than nope. Wilhelma, I do not notice anything more than her. It's fine. And the other thing is, I want to steel myself mentally, and then I want to do a magical sense, just to be safe that nothing super scary is just hiding underneath a rock right next to me. So
Sure.
I'll do a magical sense. What negatives would I take for this? Or do I not take negatives?
That is a good point. Let us see.
I think
it is at the moment. It's calm, so you don't take any negatives.
Okay.
Okay, so as you look into the winds of magic in this area, firstly you'd see that it's calm in this area. In this almost this complete area, as you look further on down, you can see that there's turmoil at the bottom of the street. The winds seem more chaotic down there. They're moving faster. Perhaps a spell is going on, or perhaps Weirdstone is the culprit. You're not entirely sure, but as you look around further and you try and expand your magical sense, you can feel again the remains of spells cast many streets in, and you can feel the chaotic, or see the chaotic winds of magic in other areas. But for around you in this area at the moment, it seems clear. It seems as if there's no magic casters or any larger chunks of Weirdstone.
I like how your target is literally 101.
It's the 101 of magic.
Magic 101 for dummies.
It's not my fault, I'm good at this.
So we will have, actually I'll move you to there. We will have the mercenaries. Hut. Move up.
I like how they move in a semi-ordinary orderly line. Like, I think you're missing the second part of the chevron.
The human mercenaries are basically going to follow down the road and just take up a position with their crossbows for the moment. The labourers, how are they doing? Now, they do get a plus 30 to this, so 2 of them are perfectly fine. 2 of them gather up, and yes, my lord, okay, boss, righto, this way, come along, here we go. And they take up their positions. Right here, okay, here we go, to me, to you, to me, to you. The other one, let's see where he goes. Okay, and he would go this way by that much. Okay, Miss Wilhelma. You can see that the mercenaries have moved up behind you. The labourers have taken position, looking at the pile of rubble at the moment, trying to work out which stone is best to start pulling first, not wanting the the pile to fall down on top of them.
Is it still like traversable?
You can climb over it, yes. It will just take a bit of time.
Like to climb on it, but not on the other side.
Okay,
So
sure.
essentially, I would like to kind of tentatively stand on it without
Okay.
actually jumping.
So
I'm
it
not
takes
sure if
you
I
up.
would be able to jump back.
It takes you up about half a story. So at the moment, as you look at the building next to you, you're about halfway up the window. So it's a decent pile of rubble that has accumulated, and you are looking out. You would be higher than the wagon. So
Is this something? Is this a distance where I would take fall damage if I fell?
it would depend on how you fell. If you failed an agility test by a couple of degrees, you're not going to take any damage. If you critically fail, then yeah, you're banging your head and you're going face first. But even a failure isn't going to cause you to. Essentially, I'd make an easy test, so you would get a +30 to an agility test to jump off. I just wouldn't tell
There
you.
isn't actually acrobatics. There's scale sheer surface, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think I would probably call it as agility test, just to jump down if you were in a hurry. Otherwise, it's like double your movement. Is there anything you'd like to do from atop your tower?
I would like to look. Are there any sounds of battle? Like, are the sounds of battle still hearable?
Give me a perception test, and we'll go with mainly hearing. Unfortunately, this won't really help you.
Bonuses to hearing. No, I fail.
Okay, so you can only hear the sound of the labourers like starting to pull stones down, and the rubble of it, and the mercenaries chattering to each other. Miss Yara, what would you like to do?
Before I move further down, can I see that one of the workers is wandering off?
He is behind you, so how about a perception test with a -40?
Ooh, okay. No. You know what? Since we did sleep,
You
or day,
can.
my fortune
I would be nice, because you're an intelligent character. You can roll intelligence. I've travelled in a group before where I've tried to keep them all together. You know, a head count every now and then does work quite well. It would be a flat intelligence, given how intelligent you are.
Oof, close.
So yeah, you sit back and you look around and you feel as if something's missing. And 1, 2, 3. Wilhelm is up there, clearly visible. 2, 4. Didn't we have? Was there 6 or 7 of us in total? You know. You look around and you can now see that there is a labourer wandering.
I'm gonna shout at him.
I remember what I wanted to buy in Secret Health, but forgotten.
And basically just tell him to get back to the group and not wander off. Does he actually listen to me?
We'll find out on his turn.
I'll basically just scream, "Oi! No! Don't stray off. Stay with the group. Get back here."
I should give them their opportunities to. Wow, you know, sometimes I look at NPC sheets and I'm like, they're really crap, and other times, oh, wow, okay, and other times I'm like, wow, they made them really good. Like mercenaries are not that great in this. So one of them fails. They both fail with 3, and then he's 100. So this one, seeing what Wilhelm is doing, has decided that, yeah, you know, why not? He barges past and he kind of takes a perch, raising his crossbow. The other one decides that no, it would be better to go further, and he takes off down the road. The other one thinks that everyone's got this sorted, so he's going to go off into this room and see if he can find something. And he does find something. There's a... Ooh, what's this? What's this? Ooh, hello. Okay.
No, stop that. Get back here.
So, the peasants. 2 of them are on their job. I'll be giving these 2 bonuses. And then the third one also gets a bonus. So, one of the ones who is digging, he carries on digging. The other one begins to lose track of what he's doing. He's not helping anymore. I will let the one who succeeded attempt to get him back in line. He does. So the other one gives him a shouting to, and he falls back in line and begins clearing the rubble.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't have command. Why don't I? And then I realized I learned braced for sergeant.
So unfortunately, the other one, he doesn't want to listen. Ooh, and he goes off. Miss Wilhelmer, it is your turn. What actions would you like to do?
I would want to command mercenaries to get back in line, but alas, I don't have the skills to do it.
You can use fellowship. Straight up.
No, I have a better idea. Get back in line, or I'll throw you to the orcs myself. No.
Yes,
okay, an intimidation. I tell you what, I will.
I'm
you are their
boss.
Well, you are their boss, so I will give you a plus 15. So that will succeed. You don't need to fortune the. You don't need to fortune the first one. You're their boss, so you would get a plus to your intimidation because it's your boss. So your first one would succeed, and the one in front of you, he hears it and comes back. He okay, right, yeah. Why did I run off away from the group? I don't know. The one who's in the room, he's going to need to do a willpower check. He stays in the room. He has something he wants to do.
I'm gonna step off the barricade and I'm gonna try and drag him out of the room. Okay,
cool. So you will essentially get into the room. You can get a little bit further into the room. I won't make you guys be precise with your movements. There's a little bit of give and take here in story mode. So you can see him eyeing up an item. You also uncover the entire room. As you look into the room, you're a little taken aback. There are some items in here that aren't completely ruined. It'll be up to you if you wish to investigate them.
First of all, I want to get him out. Like, I want to get his attention, so I'll probably walk up to him and do, like, snapping fingers in front of his face.
Sure, okay. So we will go to Lysiara's turn. What would you like to do, Lysiara?
I'll shout to Wilhelma that I'm going to go make the peasant fall back in line, and I'll be right back. I'm just around the corner. You know, this is
the famous last words. I'll be right back.
Although this is a very, very, very bad idea, I'm gonna move here, and I'm gonna see if I can find the.
If you'd like, you can go into the room. You can like go into the just into the entrance so you can see everything.
Yeah, I'll be right at the entrance, but I'm not going inside just yet. I'm just
Sure.
looking to see if I can see the peasant.
Okay. As you peer in, you can see into the room, and you can see the peasant has basically seen something. Something has called him into the corner, and he's begun. He's got close enough to start. Like he knows. You can see he's going for a load of crates, a load of boxes. You too notice that there are crates and boxes in here that appear unopened.
No, again, maybe I'm being too cautious, but I do see those. But I'm gonna first. I try the soft approach with the with this peasant, but I actually want to shout him and try to intimidate him back into line. Like, oi, dumbass, get back in line.
Okay.
Nobody wanders off and nobody stays alone.
Sure. We will take that into account on now. So, the mercenaries. The two who are outside, they'll get a +20 for the intimidation. So one of them passes quite well, the other one fails quite badly. We'll give him a fellowship. He'll get a +10. He fails with his fellowship. So one of the mercenaries, the one on the wall, he jumps down and he thinks it's a good idea to go off and have a little look around.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I am going to murderize the... No, I'm done. I'm seriously throwing them to the orcs.
But the other one stands his ground and stays where he is. The mercenary that you're next to, he gets a... I will double his willpower. So I'll double it and plus a little bit. So he gets up to 60. He fails. So he opens up the chest. What happens when he opens up the chest? Oh, okay. He opens up the chest, and you see it. There's a big plume of dust that comes off. It doesn't appear to be locked. He just grabs hold of the clasp, pushes the locking mechanism, and it just opens. He looks in, and you can see from your position that there are a few items in there. Nothing massively valuable from a quick glance, but he appears to be staring into the chest, and actually he failed his willpower. He opened the chest. So he gets another willpower. I'll double it again because you are there. So he actually succeeds. So once he's opened the chest, what's going on? He seems like he's come out of a daze, almost. And it's takes a purse from out of the chest, jingles it, and sees you standing there, and in the middle of a
foot. There's a very... You shouldn't have done that on my face.
Sorry, boss. He jingles the purse and...
Not important right now.
He turns around, looking sheepish, but he returns to his position almost.
I'm just gonna climb the barrack. Oi! Where the two of you think you go?
I'm giving them a +30 because... Oh, well, they both failed. Because of your intimidation before. So the two peasants at the bottom, they appear to stop doing their work. They just kind of daze out. The peasant with Lysiara, he is getting double his willpower. He succeeds massively. So he, before touching anything in the room, Where am I?
Get back in line.
What? Right, yeah. He looks a little bit shocked, but you can hear him mumbling. What? We were.
No. Luciana will be harsh. She will just basically be pointing. Like, if you don't move back into the safety of the group, I'm going to curse 3 generations of your family.
He appears to take your threats quite. In fact, he could probably, let's say he sprints. He gets a little bit further down.
I'll move back with him.
And it comes back to Wilhelm's turn. She shouts and screams.
I am quite miffed. And so I'm going to draw my pistol. And I'm gonna shoot near the guy. Hoping that will snap him out of it.
If you give me a basically shoot with your pistol, aim however you would like. You're shooting at the floor, so essentially, if you miss with 1 degree, you hit him.
Yeah.
But
the range is 816, so I think he's just in range. So +10 to aim. Am I in the second bracket? Will I get penalties now?
Yes, you get a. If you're in the 16, you take a -20.
Okay, so -10.
So you miss. But you miss with quite a large number of degrees. So there is a booming boosh as smoke fills, well, not fills, there's a plume of smoke that goes down into the I've forgotten what a fucking road's called. Into the road. The shot is loud and echoes off of the few stone buildings that are around. And you see the man down in the street snap out of whatever was caused him to wander off. He looks genuinely shocked.
The next one is not gonna miss.
Lysiara, your turn.
Yeah, I'll just, like I said, I was moving back with the peasants, so I'll basically just move. Just basically to here, and I'll look around again.
Sure. And I need to remember I need to subtract 1 of the ammunition.
Yep. The next turn, the mercenaries. So actually, I'll do Lysiara's first. Lysiara, as you back away and start looking in the shadows, in the corners, you don't see any movement. You don't see any sign of ambush. It seems almost quiet. The sound of the gunshot is still in the air, and the mumblings of the peasants and the guards can also be heard, but nothing else. As we come on to the mercenary's turn, the mercenary down at the end is quite shocked and what am I right, yeah, was guarding, right, seeming to be quite shocked at how he had left his position, the other mercenary also taking up a forward position. The peasants all seem to get into their stride. They begin one passing a stone to the other, and the third ordering them along the side of the building. For the next few minutes there don't seem to be any disturbances. The work does not stop. It appears as if whatever had affected your workers is no longer affecting them. For the next 15 to 20 minutes, the work goes like clockwork. The labourers do their labouring, and the mercenaries do their mercenarying, and you oversee all of it. And within 20 minutes, the rubble has been cleared.
You know, although the Sierra wants to explore, she just saw the mercenaries and the peasants acting like, curious children. So she is thinking, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to leave these people here to go explore. They're probably gonna wander off, find some monstrosity, and bring it right back to us. So
Swear it's worse than herding cats.
yeah, Lucia was probably just like, okay, we did what we had to do. Let's move back.
And also, if I have enough time, I'm gonna reload.
Yes, I was going to say, in that time...
Technically, it's 2 full actions. But...
Well, 20 minutes went by. I was going to say you would have reloaded whilst watching over your men and checking that they were doing their jobs. But for that time, they were
switch
good.
back to the rapier.
I'll bring this Yara a bit further, a bit closer to the group for a minute. Because, like I said, time did pass whilst they were working. As the rubble is finally cleared and the road is almost completely clear, you only have the cart that's left to move. Miss Wilhelma, would you like to take the lead?
I will. I would think about to that cart, and then I would look this way because it looks like there's a street there.
Sure. You can see partly into there, and you can see most of the way. I'll give you all of it. Why not? I shall be generous.
Oh, so AJ.
Hello. So as you move down, you can see that there are no obstructions along that side. There are doorways and other buildings that could be explored. Would you look at the cart, or are you more worried about the situation?
I would look at the cart first, but then if the cart is, nothing to worry about, then I would turn my attention to things around me more.
Okay. The cart, with a quick glance, you don't see any reason why you can't push it. And then you carry on looking around the rest of the ruins. Lysiara.
Yep. Actually, how hard would it be for the peasants to actually push the cart?
They could do it. It is
you want
possible.
To bring it back?
Yeah, I was thinking about telling the peasants to, grab the cart and start pushing it, and we basically take the cart out of Mordheim. So basically, we gain we get a cart as loot, and we just head back. So the peasants will be distracted pushing the cart. The mercenaries
it's
will
not
still
the
have to be.
worst idea.
Because
Like,
again,
we've already achieved what we set out to do, so everything else we do now is just bonus.
Yeah, but again, Sherry is really afraid that if she, starts exploring like she wants to, the mercenaries or the peasants are gonna get into some bad shit and just go missing. And this era really does not want casualties because of their own stupidity.
It is possible. You would need to check the cart to make sure it is all functioning and all working. It would be a lot of work to push a wooden cart that far, so they would be quite tired, but they can do it.
But at least that way they will be distracted by the cart and having to push the cart. But before I actually tell them to do that, can I touch the cart and magically sense the cart to see if this is not, a mimic that is going to eat my peasants?
Sure, yeah. You could do that. I'll say that, you would have moved a lot closer in those 20 minutes. So, one turn you get there, you touch the cart and magically sense.
Yeah. gross teeth and start jumping on my peasants. It's not gonna be fun.
As you touch the cart, there is something that you might not have expected. As you touch an inanimate object and sense to see if there's any magical, if it's a creature, if it's... You're struck by feedback. And Wilhelma, you would see a very light green electrical spark, just almost it shimmers with a small crackling of energy being dispersed. Only a very small amount. Nisiara, as you touch the cart and magically sense it, you feel the feedback of another energy reacting to your own. It shocks you and takes you back a bit. It was not something you were expecting, but you touch the cart again and it doesn't happen again. And you don't sense it's just a cart.
Can I roll academic knowledge?
Sure.
I'm gonna roll academic knowledge. Ooh, just about.
It's quite possible from your readings that from your learnings, how can I? From your academic knowledge, it's quite possible that the cart had been sprayed with perhaps warpstone dust, perhaps from when the comet fell, perhaps another time, but it would explain the green crackling. Perhaps it just reacted to your magical touch. It's possible. It's not something you've really studied, but you do know of warpstone. You do know of the effect and weird stuff happening, and it didn't seem like a trap to you. It didn't seem like it was something placed there. More of a natural reaction to a volatile substance.
The peasants are lagging behind. They're gonna start dispersing soon.
No, fortunately, they do appear to follow after the mercenaries, and the mercenaries take position.
I'm still afraid that this card might turn out to be a mimic. I'm just gonna tell.
Are mimics even a thing in Warhammer Fantasy World?
I don't believe there are mimics, but there are. So in Mordheim, you could have had a chest and a dog close by when warpstone happened, and a monstrosity of got a mouth like a mimic. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but not that I know of.
I mean, it's more that weird shit is going to be happening all the time. So I'll be a little bit cautious about the card, but I will say to Ilham that we should probably just grab this card and get out of Mordheim. We did what we had to do.
Well, if you feel we should go back, I see no reason to stay here now.
This year will pretty much just whisper to Wilhelma. I don't think just the two of us can. I don't think we two can babysit this entire group.
Yeah, not to mention, things may know we're here thanks to my disciplinary actions.
Yeah, things most definitely know we're here now. We were quiet after all.
Let's just go back.
Indeed, let's.
And she's just gonna round up the mercenaries and alright, we're going back.
Okay, so I actually wasn't expecting you guys to opt into grabbing the cart and going. Wasn't really something I had speculated. So we'll go into a bit of a more narrative time. essentially the cart is old, it's been weathered. It does still move. One of the wheels does move. It could do with some oil. It's quite tough. The peasants slowly get it into position. It takes them about 20 minutes, maybe 30, to actually get it round the corner and going again. You can hear like the rust from around the axle breaking as the wheel starts not seizing up, but loosening up, and as the flakes of rust begin to break away off of the wrought iron, it begins turning again and is a little bit easier. You do have 20 minutes or so. If one of you wanted to roll a search, you could, to see if you can find anything.
Why not?
Yeah, I'll also roll search. Cautious
11,
search, but
and I'm gonna regret that immediately, probably.
Okay, so you each take a turn to search the area. Now, how far did you want to search? There are a lot of rooms around you. Did you want to just duck into a room, quickly grab whatever valuables you can, or did you want to actually be like, no, I'm going to have a proper little search? Or
I don't think we should do a proper search with just the two of us.
Or was there a room that you particularly were like, no, I want to quickly run into that room and grab what I can and then get back to the group?
you know, in the Sierra's case, you'll probably just see that Warhammer is going to, look around for a little bit.
Oh, by all
the
means,
Sierra's
you can take it in
Just, you know,
turns.
we're
You're not,
very...
you're not both running off quick, like looking at each other, going quickly go and running. You know, you can
Don't
each.
split.
Yeah, but Sierra would most definitely look in this place
Okay,
because those crates were closed. They
sure.
didn't look like they were open, so she will look at those. And if it seems that these could be valuable, she would basically throw them in a cart and move people.
Okay, so did you just want to try and like pick up an unopened crate, or did you want to actually open a crate and try and look inside? You've got quite a good search roll, so I'll leave it up to you if you just want to grab a whole crate and go, or if you actually want to.
Are there any markings on these crates? Because if there are no markings, I could just as well be picking up 100-year-old laundry.
Okay, so as you, with 3 degrees plus 1 for passing, so 4, so you would see that all of the crates are from, have Reichsspiel on them. They all are faded letters. They're not, the outsides have definitely weathered over time. You can see at least 2 crates that you think are marked for the Empire, for that should have been transported onto the capital. I can't remember what it's called. Reichland.
If I can grab those two, then I'd grab those two.
There is a crate there.
Grab one.
There is a crate there that is marked for the capital of Stirland, which is Württemberg. Or there is another one which is marked for Nullen.
I'll grab the ones from the capital. So.
Okay. So you grab one of the crates from the capital that was marked for the capital, and you take it and put it back onto the cart. Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It might just be letters, but...
Wilhelmer, where would you like to try and grab an item from, or grab a crate, or...
I probably look into the room where that one mercenary found the gold, but nothing past that.
Sure. As you go in there, I'll you let me have a look. You've got 3 degrees, 4 degrees for pretty much the same as Lysiara. So as you go in, you'd see that there's definitely the chest that's been opened.
And
You know
he
there's
took a purse.
yes, he
gold
took a
from
coin purse out. There were other valuables that you could see. He didn't spend long. He literally looked down like, oh, coin purse. Maybe that's what I was grabbing. Huh? But as you look, you can see that there are a number of rugs that are on the floor. They're not all in great condition, but there are a couple that, perhaps if cleaned, would come up quite nicely. So it's up to you. You can grab the chest, or you can grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rugs.
Sure, let's get some tapestry.
Sure. So you grab five rugs quickly. It's not going to take you long to run in, roll a rug up, run it out, run in, roll. They're quite big items. So whilst Lysiara is carrying on with the group, and the fact that the cart has to go past where you're all kind of grabbing your loot from, it's a successful little pillage. You manage to get your items, get a cart, and as far as you can tell, you get out. Your men don't seem to have any more relapses in or cloudiness of judgment. They seem, especially the peasants now, who are all essentially sweating and taking turns to be the pusher, and one of them's the driver, and the mercenaries too, now having loot to occupy themselves with, are guiding the way, no longer having idle minds to wander. You carry on down the roads. Can you make me perception tests, please, you two?
I'm gonna fortune that. We're on the tail end anyway.
So, Wilhelma, as your group begins to make their way down the road, away from the from where you looted your new cart from, you're making good time when you hear what sounds like a wall collapsing, not too far from where you were, and you can hear movement, things creaking more than what they should. It definitely seems as if something may have got interested in noises and the commotion that your party was making. But apart from that, there is no other commotion. You make it out of the gates of Mordheim with your loot in your cart. Your labourers are not too happy about being forced to act as mules pushing a bloody heavy cart that has a squeaky, stubborn wheel. But as you get out of the city, you look back at the cart, and as the men push it by, it's not in great condition. The cart that you have, that you acquired off of Hagrin, is smaller. This cart is definitely larger. But it's obviously covered in rust and covered in bird shit, and that could be blood. That could be a bit of gore, but yeah, it's your cart covered in filth and gore. That's what matters. I would imagine that Lysiara would send one of her familiars with a note back to camp to let them know that you've got a cart, and could they send a horse or an oxen or something?
Yeah, she would most definitely send Kurosu because Kurosu is a raven and he's fast.
And not as suspicious.
Fast.
Yeah.
A message is sent, and
if Barkspawn materialized and started talking to people, people would probably freak the fuck out.
Oh, when Raven
yeah.
talking to people is not gonna cause people to freak out.
or you can
But
write
the
a
Raven,
note.
I
could just
know. I'm
write
just
a note to
having
Kurosu.
a laugh.
Although you could probably do it to the ghost, and then the ghost could tell people. They're getting a bit used to the ghost.
I mean, they probably see me playing, tossing a stick of wood every now and then, and the
The
wood
ghost
comes
just becomes
flying
this
back up.
eccentric neighbor.
The stick of wood probably comes flying back. People don't know why there's a stick of wood flying back.
It has a rune of flight on it. Clearly.
Yeah,
It's a
but
dwarven stick, master crafted.
I think Kurasu the Raven would still be a little less freaky than most people.
It certainly would. Your message is sent, and although you push your cart and your loot a bit further to get it away from Mordheim, it's not too long before a rider with an oxen and tackle comes along, quite surprised, not to see you all, but to see you all with cart and loot, and to be so unscathed. People are going to start thinking that Mordheim's not as dangerous as the rumours would have it made out. But the cart is ready. You are led back to your stronghold, where you can celebrate going through your loot in the next episode. So we will end our episode off here for now. Your second voyage into Mordheim has gone spectacularly well. I was expecting a lot more mischief to happen, but no. I had plans, I really did. But those plans will have to be saved for the next episode. So I hope you've all enjoyed this episode and looking forward to the next one. So take care everyone, and as always, bye bye for now.
Bye bye.
Yeah.